Is the child that Karen sees in the window of the Myers house in Halloween Kills Michael Myers? Or is it something more? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? This will be a video where I'm answering a specific question given to me by a person in the comment sections, and also one of my good buddies that's also a YouTube content creator, where we were talking about the vision that Karen has near the end of Halloween Kills of the child Michael Myers in the window. What is that? Was it Michael Myers that she saw, and why? All those different types of things. So let's just kind of step back for a second, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. But real quick, first, if you could, please hit the like button. It helps to support the channel. I'd appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, this is a great time to do it. So here's my thoughts, guys. At the end of Halloween Kills, we see a big character arc for Karen. As a character, Judy Greer was really good in this role, in my opinion. I think that when you saw her in Halloween 2018, she was an adult that is just trying to move on with her life. She has a family, she has a daughter that's very important to her, but she also has a mother that has been obsessed and possessed by this attack that she survived back in 1978. And her mother put her through the ringer as a child, trying to prepare her, trying to teach her all of these survival tactics, how to fight, gunplay, and all of these types of things, and was taken away from her mother. Rightly so. Circle back to the events of 2018, and now as the viewer, we all know what's going on in the background. We know the fact that Michael really is a threat. Now, the difference that David Gordon Green had in this trilogy is the fact that Michael did not target Laurie. He wasn't obsessed with Laurie like she was obsessed with him. That's one thing, and I want to take a second on that. That's one thing that I have a lot of people talk to me about in the comment and on my live streams about whether or not Michael was targeting Laurie, but it was plainly said in 2018 and in Kills that Michael was not after Laurie. Sartain was the one that brought Michael to Laurie's compound. So I just want to throw that out there and make sure that everyone's on the same page. Michael was not obsessed with Laurie. He was not. Now, once they were in their fight at the end of Halloween 2018, I do think there was a recognition of Michael, knowing who Laurie was. I do think that was there. But again, Michael's operating on a different level, guys.
We are going to enter a mystery wrapped up inside of a riddle, inside of an enigma. Now, remember this.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard.
He really is. It's like animal instinct and so forth. But anyways, back to what we were saying. So we all know these things. Karen is learning these things as a character, learning the truth of what her mother said, and the fact that her mother was ultimately right. Now, again, it's an interesting place to be as a viewer, because as a viewer, I was not the biggest fan of her in 2018. Obviously I was siding with Laurie because I know that Laurie is right. Michael is a danger. Michael could come back after her, and you've got to be ready. You can't, Karen said this line about, the world isn't an evil place and all these types of things.
The world is not a dark and evil place. It is full of love and understanding, and I'm not letting your psychotic rants confuse me or convince me otherwise.
And I'm sitting there watching the movie like, yeah, it's an evil place, man. In the real world, I'm not even talking about the movies. But I think it was smart to have a character like that, because it was the direct opposite of where Laurie was coming from. So this is, just to say, guys, this is an illustration of good character depth and ultimately a good character arc, which we don't always get that in Halloween movies. We rarely get that in Halloween movies. So again, just to give a little credit to the writing of this character, and of course the performance of Judy Greer. Judy Greer was really good in this role. So at the end of 2018, when there's the confrontation, Karen understands my mother was right. There's even that scene where it's kind of like kind of like a white flag of sorts, an apology of sorts on both sides. Laurie knows that she wasn't a great mother. She wanted to prepare her daughter for the horrors of the world. She said that to Allison in 2018. So they find themselves in a battle with Michael Myers. They survive it barely at the end of 2018. And then in Kills, it's really a situation where I think Karen starts to go down this path of understanding what evil is, what the boogeyman is, understanding her mother, and coming to terms with her whole life. This is her whole life we're talking about. And it wasn't put out there in a bunch of dialogue or some long ass scene. This was what she was doing in the film, which I thought was very, very smart. You could see this character arc coming together throughout Kills, and especially in the hospital scene with everyone yelling "Evil dies tonight." I know "Evil dies tonight." It was way too heavy-handed. I think that scene could have been cut probably in half.
You're goddamn right.
But one thing about the scene that I thought was really good was Karen. If you pay attention to Karen, she's changing as a character. She understands what was going on with her mother. She understands this whole idea of the boogeyman and his hold on Haddonfield, and she's seeing it. She's literally seeing people becoming vigilantes, people becoming monsters, walking over each other, stomping over each other, just to come after a man that they think is Michael Myers. That's what they think. And of course, we know that it's not Michael Myers. It's not. But seeing Karen try to risk herself, even though it's a mob, so I don't think she was any real mortal danger, but to see herself go and try to risk herself to save this guy, this mental patient who she knew wasn't Michael, because Laurie finally realized, no, that's not Michael Myers, stopped them. You got Tommy and the whole world running upstairs, coming after this guy and so forth. But I thought it was a really cool scene with her trying to help him, trying to stop the mob from doing what they were doing and all of that. And ultimately, no, he jumps off the building and so forth. And I think it really affected her even more because she's seeing all of this. She's seeing the town go through what her mother was like when she was a child. This is what I'm getting out of it. So this is like trauma on multiple levels. She's seeing this process happen again, which was the same process that she saw her mother going through when she was a kid. And again, you guys got to remember, when you're a kid at that age, those things really stay with you, and especially if you don't come to terms with them. And I don't think Karen ever really came to terms with them. I think she just kind of moved on with her life. She pushed through, like she said to her mother, we're done talking about the past, let's move on. And for some things that might work. For this, it didn't. It really didn't. And I think it was a smart thing in Halloween Kills because it was an echo of what the town was going through, what Laurie was going through. So anyways, you come to the point where she has to save her daughter, and it was a great scene. She comes in with the pitchfork. I'm going to be honest, when I saw her do that, when I was watching this in the theater, I was thinking, wow, I mean, she stuck that pitchfork all the way into Michael, and then the stomping of his head. There was a moment where I thought, she killed him? What is going on? And so she saves her daughter. She's totally courageous, but it's the boogeyman, right? So he gets back up, and by the way, I know a lot of people said, did he say, "Give it to me," because she takes the mask? I don't think he said it, but whatever. That might be a video for another day. But anyways, so then to get him away from Allison, she taunts him, and unbeknownst to Michael, this is a setup. This is a setup for the mob to come after him, to beat him up, to get him, to kill him. And so another great scene. So we go through that, Michael versus the world. He takes people out like left and right. It was a great scene. One of my favorite scenes, to be quite honest, because it was a microcosm for Michael, all these people coming after him. And, they did some dialogue with Laurie and Frank and, talking about we can't beat him just by pure brute force. And all of these types of things. And some of it was effective, some of it was kind of like, okay, I get it. But anyways, the scene itself with James Jude Courtney was fantastic, was absolutely fantastic, and just how everything was going. And so once that happens, and then Karen gives what looks like the killing blow, that stab right to the back, like right to the base of the neck right there. You really thought it was over. The way that the movie, the vibe of the movie, the rhythm of the movie, you thought the movie was over. And so then she goes back to where Allison is, back to the Myers place. And you get a sense, you just, you take a breath. I've talked about that recently in videos. You get to that point in a horror movie where they give you a chance to take a breath. She looks up in the window of the Myers house, that same window that Michael would go to, that same window that everybody was friggin' talking about in these movies. And she sees Michael Myers, that kid in that clown costume that we saw famously that he wore in 78. She sees Michael, and then she goes into the house. It's almost like she's in this trance. Now, here's my thing, guys. I think it's working on multiple levels. I think she's seeing Michael, but it's more about she's seeing the boogeyman myth and what it's done, not only to the situation that's happening in Kills, what it's done to the town, what it's done to her mother, what it's done to her daughter, but ultimately what it's done to her. I think it's almost like she's seeing an echo of herself. She's seeing an echo of herself because she also, when the fight was going on with the town versus Michael, she got into it, man. She was really going on that edge, becoming that vigilante. And I think it was almost like this bridge that she saw between Michael and herself. She goes up those stairs. She starts to stare out of the window. You see her take that deep breath. I think it was almost, some people will say, well, was she in a trance? Was it Michael, using the evil energy to pull her up? No, no, it wasn't that. I think it was her trying to come to terms with her whole life in that moment, to look out that window, see what he saw, see what she sees. This was a lot of different levels working at the same time, in my opinion. It might not have been intended that way, but that's the beautiful thing about Halloween. There's so many angles to the story and the mythology of Michael Myers. That's why I love the mythology of Michael Myers so much. That's why I can talk about it so much, because there's so many layers, so many opinions that I have, that you guys have, that so many other people have. That's what makes it interesting. And this scene alone, I think, was very, very interesting. I don't think it was a throwaway. I think some people kind of just overlooked it. She was coming to terms with herself. She was coming to terms with her mother. She was coming to terms with the boogeyman. She was coming to terms with what she did. That's what I got out of that scene. Unfortunately for her, she had been infected with this evil. She had been tied up in this obsession, even if just for a little moment. She was tied up in this obsession, even for a little moment. Her mother's been tied up in it for 40 years, but Karen got roped into it as well. And Michael appears and he kills her. And I think even for Laurie, I think there's a part when they show Jamie Lee Curtis, and I think as a character, I wonder if it's the type of thing where she understands that her daughter and her granddaughter are now wrapped up in this obsession. And is it her fault? Those are the things that kind of go on in my mind about this moment. It's really sad that Karen got killed, because I think she was a really good character. She had a great character arc. I really was rooting for her in Halloween Kills. Judy Greer gave a really, really underrated performance, in my opinion. You don't see performances like these in a lot of the Halloween films. You just don't. Some people, that's perfectly fine. They don't want that. Me, I think it adds to it. I think it gives it more weight, and I can really appreciate it when a film can give that character development or that character arc while still giving us a badass movie with a bunch of kills and a badass Michael Myers. So that's what I think. She saw an image of the child but it wasn't so much that it was Michael Myers. It was a representation of her life and all of these things coming together at once. That's what it was in the window. It wasn't Michael projecting himself like a ghost and all this type of stuff I hear in some of the comments. That's just my opinion though, guys. Let me know what your opinion is down in the comment section below. Leave me a comment. Let's talk about this, and maybe there'll be some more videos we do on it as well. Also, hit the like button if you haven't. It supports the channel. I'd appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, please do so. Let's have some more conversations about this theory and all these other theories about Halloween and other films. Also, hit the join button next to the subscribe button. It allows you to become a channel member. You help support the channel. You can get exclusive watch parties, perks, hangouts, content, and so forth. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.